concerns over the economic downturn continues. CS Commissioner says officer involved in prison abuses to be charged. And 7 out of 10 women affected by violence.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
A very good evening to you and welcome to Thursday's news. It's good to have your company again. International analysts have predicted an economic meltdown in the PNG economy after the release of the government's mid-year economic and fiscal outlook report. The National Research Institute has weighed in on a debate, saying the report is irresponsible and damaging to the PNG economy. The NRI says the report is missing crucial information, including revenue figures from LNG exports.
NRI Director Dr. Charles Yala and the head of the Economic Research Unit, Dr. Osborne Sanida, say this seemingly incomplete report can have far-reaching consequences.
It is therefore critical for the Department of Treasury to be mindful that the real damage is being caused due to the alarmist reporting in the media, both locally and international, as a result of an alarmist media economic outlook. It will affect the exchange rate, it will affect investor confidence, it will affect businesses.
They say that critical information that is missing from this mid-year economic and fiscal outlook report is the LNG revenue. And they're asking the obvious question, where is the LNG revenue?
Given exports of LNG are expected to be about 14 billion in 2015, the Treasury needs to explain where the money is.
Earlier this week, in an interview with EMTV, Paul Bakker from the Institute of National Affairs provided some insight into this question.
Basically, LNG revenue is fundamentally going to the creditors who have provided the loans. So there's only dribs and drabs of revenue coming through.
In terms of the low commodity prices on the extractive industry in the country, they say the biggest impact should be felt by Kutubu oil, since the biggest drop is in the price of oil. They say while the drop in copper prices will affect Octedi, it will be minimal. However, they say because it is now a state-owned entity, its losses will be more significant. On the overall behavior of the PNG economy, the NRI have more questions than answers.
Transient problem or a permanent problem. The latter requires serious restructuring and serious fundamental changes to the economy and the way we manage. But if it's the first, which is a transient problem, just a temporary cash flow, and that's something that the government can manage. So the answering this question will be made clear if Treasury was forthright about the status of the LNG revenue.
They say the true impact of the low commodity prices can only be known when the details of the agreement between the minerals company and the government is known. Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
And today we spoke with National Planning and Monitoring Minister Charles Abel to get his perspective on the state of the economy.
The mid-year economic and fiscal outlook, according to various analysts, doesn't present a pretty picture for Papua New Guinea. Budget deficit is expected to rise from the current 4.4% of GDP to 9.4%. Public debt is also expected to take an upward trend. What this means basically is that Papua New Guinea's pockets aren't as full as predicted prior to 2015, and some of the money we expected to get won't be coming because of the low oil prices, the temporary shutdown of Octedi mine, and lower than expected tax income revenue. Today, Planning Minister Charles Abel was at the FM 100 studios in Port Moresby talking up the economy. Outside, he indicated cuts would be made in the budget, but not in the areas of health and education.
There was a large anticipation of growth in the economy and significant increases in government revenue. Unfortunately, and it was really one could call it bad luck, I suppose, in a way, that the petroleum prices collapsed.
The government, meanwhile, says it's confident of pulling through. Minister Abel says tax compliance has been weak and it's an area that can still generate adequate revenue. In the meantime, rationing of funding has begun, and while the government isn't saying where it's cutting, it's happening to manage the weak cash flow situation facing the country. On the outside, the government needs to manage several things. One is the public sentiments from Papua New Guineans who are accessing information and international analysis on the PNG economy. Now, they may not be in the majority yet, but they still have the potential to swing public opinion either to the left or to the right. The next thing the government needs to manage is the implementation of projects so it's seen not to be affected by cash flow problems. Scott Waide, National EMTV News.
Among more stories coming up after the break, CS Commissioner to investigate beatings in prisons, also a surprise takeover at the ICCC office, and at long last, the sealing of Parramatta Road in the Central Province. Stay tuned for all the details. Good to have you back with the news. CS Commissioner Michael Waipo says those correctional officers involved in the alleged beatings of Lae Buimo prisons will be charged after investigations. His comment comes after a series of images understood to have been taken by inmates soon after the beatings in May and were sent anonymously to EMTV News with an appeal to get the CS Commissioner, CS Minister and the Prime Minister to look into alleged prisoner abuses that are happening in Papua New Guinea's prisons. We warn that some of the images may be disturbing to viewers.
Domestic and international human rights laws safeguard prisoner rights throughout Papua New Guinea's prison systems, but those guidelines were brought to disrepute. A series of images taken after prisoners were beaten with a blunt object was sent to EMTV by reliable sources who cannot be named for safety reasons. Today was attending a book launching at Lae's Buimo jail. The CS Commissioner Michael Waipo spoke about the images, saying those CS officers involved will be dealt with after investigations.
That incident will be investigated. We will get to the bottom of it. Those responsible will be dealt with accordingly.
According to the sources, the image taken in May showing at least 3 prisoners being allegedly beaten by Buimo CS officers after they were jailed over the killing of a policeman in Pindu. The images were sent with the intent to bring to attention allegations of prisoners being beaten by CS officers throughout Papua New Guinea's jail systems. It was meant to bring to attention to the CS Commissioner Michael Waipo, CS Minister Jimmy Simbatab and the Prime Minister Peter O'Neill. About a month later, the prisoner in this picture reportedly escaped in a mass breakout, including over 60 other prisoners. They are still on the run from police and CS officers. A report in June said it was triggered by poor living conditions and the treatment by CS officers. Bethany Harriman, National EMTV News, Lae.
A surprise takeover took place this morning at the Independent Consumer and Competition Commission office here in Port Moresby. Staff were taken off guard as the new Commissioner, Paulus Ain, moved in with police and former ICCC staff to assert his position. Mr. Ain defended his actions, saying it was a smooth transition.
Management and staff of ICCC were expecting a formal takeover of the position of the Commissioner. However, they were confronted this morning by the new Commissioner, Paulus Ain, who was under heavy police escort. Newly appointed Commissioner Paulus Ain presented the gazettal notice to the acting Commissioner, Elastus Guerrero. His appointment follows the stepping down of Commissioner Dr. Billy Manoka. ICCC General Manager Elastus Guerrero played down the manner in which the transition took place. Paulus Ain, have worked as a former senior staff of ICCC, says he is committed to the development agenda of the government. He returns to ICCC as the new commissioner, hoping to restore some level of certainty from regulated entities, the business community and the general consumers in PNG and abroad. Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
National Alliance candidate Alex Robert is 154 votes ahead of independent candidate Matthew Poya in the counting of the Kuala Open by-election. After count 27 this afternoon, Robert is on 1,790 votes, while Poya is on 1,636 votes. Independent candidate Peter Nomai is in third place with 1,123 votes, while David Mona, the brother of late Kuala Lumpur Daniel Mona, is trailing in fifth place with 360 votes. From the 39 ballot boxes, 12 are yet to be counted. Count 30 is currently underway at the Institute of Public Administration in Port Moresby. The people of Porabada in the Hiri West area of Central Province will soon have their roads resealed. This was ensured by a signing of contract today. Work is expected to commence soon and will take 3 months to complete.
The signing of contract happened at the Central Supplies and Tenders Board office this morning. The parties included the Central Provincial Administrator Gay Raga, CSTB Secretary Babaga Naime, the contractor and works.
I wish to commend the administrator and the group for ensuring that the PFMA is followed.
When presenting the contract document to the director of the contractor Eastpac Limited, Melvin Gui, the provincial administrator Gay Raga said that it was the government's intention to complete the project on time and within budget.
Let me also assure our people in Hiri West that your long-awaited project is now on its way.
The Resealing project will cover 5 kilometers of this Porabada road from the junction and will include Koderica. The project is set at the cost of 10 million kina with funding sourced from the infrastructure development grants from the PNG LNG project for impact areas. The resealing will make traveling easier for the over 8,000 people of Porabada and Koderica villages who use the road. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
And now we check out the finance news. The kina closed unchanged at $0.3605 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, our kina was trading at $0.3530 US, $0.4774 Australian dollars, $0.32 euro, and 43.64 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee and cocoa and copper all closed the day higher, while palm oil, crude oil and copper all closed the day lower. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 10 points higher, the ASX closed at 22 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 24 points higher as well. Still to come on National EMTV News tonight, Business Coalition for Women addresses family and sexual violence, and a government official denies taking a selfie. We'll bring you those reports coming up after the break. Welcome back to National EMTV News. There are doubts to how funds will be put into the Sovereign Wealth Fund, or SWF. NRI Director Dr. Charles Yala said from the first SWF bill report, revenues will be directed to SOEs before being put into the SWF. This has raised concerns on the distribution criteria and the management of revenues in the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Moving on, Business Coalition for Women Chairperson Lesiali Taviri says sexual violence in Papua New Guinea continues to affect the productivity of women employees in the workforce. Discussions reveal that over 8 out of every 10 women employees are victims of this violence and they are suffering silently. The Business Coalition for Women is now investing in an approach that will assist in addressing the violence at work.
The approach involves the introduction of the Family and Sexual Violence Policy and appropriate trainings to support its implementation. FSV experts have designed the policy so it is implemented simultaneously with other existing work policies like occupational health or anti-discrimination policies.
So it's really, really important in terms of, retaining and our work our workforce and our talented employees, and this is...
The panelists discussed the negative effects business houses encounter when female FSV victims miss work and the possible business losses the employer may suffer.
Having workplace policies and having practical tools and getting that awareness down to, from the top to the bottom of the organization, that organizations can do something to help.
Statistics from the 1992 Law Reform Committee states that 8 out of every 10 women employees are still traumatized from the abuse while on duties. The interest business houses have in this policy is to develop a supportive and non-judgmental workplace for the employees and to provide a platform for the women employees to grow professionally.
It's a developmental issue, and we need to free our society from violence.
The formulation on the family and sexual violence policy reflects the increase in the number of female employees in the professional environment. About 20 years ago, these violences did not get enough exposure. Thus, with the introduction of these 3 products, it is predicted that the effects of family and sexual violence will be minimized in the professional environment. Tekla Gunga, National EMTV News.
Border Development Executive Chairman Fred Conga has denied taking a nude selfie of him that went viral on social media. He labelled this as the worst form of character assassination and has sought legal action on the perpetrators involved. He says it was done by an individual that has a personal vendetta against him.
Mr. Conga, in a news conference this afternoon, cleared the air on a nude selfie that went viral. Conga also criticized one of the dailies for consecutively running a biased story. He says the reporter who wrote the story was a former staff of BDA who was terminated and has a personal grudge against him.
I, as the Executive Chairman of Border Development Authority, deny and did not, and I stress, I did not consent or encourage any production, publication and circulation of any pornographic material culminating to breaking any criminal law. Nor did I misconduct in the course of executing my duty, bringing disrepute to my esteemed office. Yes, the face on the reconstructed photo, the selfie. That reconstructed photo is admitted. The face is admitted, but the whole nude picture is denied.
He said the social media upload has caused irreparable damage to his reputation, family, staff and office of the Border Development Authority.
Huge irreparable damage and assassinating my character and inflicting huge pain, shame and embarrassment, not only to me, but my wife, my children.
Conga has also referred the matter to police for investigation and will proceed with legal action against the perpetrators and the newspaper involved. He has called on the government to toughen laws on social and print media without infringing on freedom of the media.
I call on the O'Neill Dion government now to legislate on some control mechanisms on especially social media and print media.
Mickey Cavera, National EMTV News.
Correctional Services Commissioner Michael Waipo says literacy can improve the mental state of prisoners and it can also help them live better lives in society. It comes following the launching of a book titled Turning Point, written by Buemo inmates. The book was produced over 5 years with assistance from UPNG's literature departments.
Correctional Services Commissioner Michael Waipo has called for more literacy programs to be introduced in PNG's correctional service institutes. It comes after the Lays Buemo Jail's successful completion of a book that was written and launched today by inmates. The initiative is part of the prison's rehabilitation programs that aims to add skills to prisoners.
Faith-based organizations will come helping me. I'd be glad if the corporate organizations also come on board and help them. Normally, if you're looking online, faith-based organization also short loan funding them.
The book was written over 5 years with editing assistance from UPNG's literature lecturer and writer, Stephen Windor. Other literacy professionals say more training on literacy skills will assist individuals to write and publish more books at a self-taught mode.
Skills in their mind rather than translating skills into practice, like the one we are doing at the moment, is that you give them little courses where it helps them to edit their own books, edit their own stories.
But the training some of the stakeholders are providing are scarce, and the CS Commissioner says funding assistance from corporate houses will greatly assist their rehabilitation programs. Colin Barilai, National EMTV News, Lae.
Well, National EMTV News continues with Trukai Sports. That's coming up next. Stay tuned for all your sporting action.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. The Special Olympians arrived today at the Jackson's International Terminal from the World Games in Los Angeles with 4 medals. Thompson Ninkama, Rosa Nege and Grace Dindilo each got bronze, while Judy Moy clinched a silver medal in the shot put. This was something that came as a surprise to President Takale Tuna, and along with his compatriots. MTV's Elijah Levitt has more.
7 athletes took part in the World Games, and out of 7, we managed to grab 4 medals, which came as a surprise to President Takale Tuna and his counterparts. He was overwhelmed by the athletes' performance at the Games.
I think they delivered beyond expectations, because when we went, we didn't expect any medals, but they proved that they are the best. Comparing to the rest of the world, they won 1 silver, 3 bronze. I'm a happy man, because they've proven to us that they can match it with the best in the world.
Silver medalist in the women's shot put, Judy Moy, was excited to see her family upon arrival. She said she was pleased with her silver medal, but will be working hard at training to clinch gold the next time.
Now
you feel you'll go back and play, or?
Yeah, I got to play.
Thompson Ninkama, who grabbed bronze in the 3,000 meters, also said the same. See gold?
And we go back and meet by boxing gold straight.
This is the first time that our athletes have taken part in such an event, and with the outcome that they've produced, continuous support from the government and sponsors hopefully will continue.
Also PNG Sports Foundation for sponsoring us to go over there, and I think we've secured the support for the future. Hopefully they can keep on supporting us so that we'll produce more in the future.
A heartwarming welcome displayed today by parents at the Jackson's International Airport. Now the parents play an important part in the lives of these athletes through support and encouragement. And now that they've returned, they will be looking to continue their development programs in other parts of the country and also discover new talent in the other provinces. Elijah Levitt, National EMTV Sports.
With the aim of sparking an interest in sports across the country, respective codes have embraced the concept of sports marketing. The initiative of adopting the concept is timely in lawn bowls with their success from the Pacific Games. Although the concept may be new to some codes, it falls in line with their respective development strategies.
Following its success of bagging 6 medals during the Pacific Games, lawn bowls have jumped on the concept of sports marketing. The strategy to move into sports marketing is to revive the sport around the country, as well as spark an interest and participation.
Well, I think the results have shown, there's nothing much we can do about it. It's just that we need to go back and start marketing the game to all the schools in Port Moresby and elsewhere in Papua New Guinea. And perhaps all the other provinces that do don't have a lawn bowls green that has been built can be encouraged.
conceited codes in the country have embraced the concept over the years, engaging athletes and sports personalities to promote and sell products from sports apparels, food and beverages and services, and further promoting major sports tournaments. Most codes face the challenge of securing sponsorships to run existing competitions, stage major sports tournaments, and send athletes to train and compete overseas. This form of social marketing falls in line with most corporate organizations' public-private partnerships and community service engagements. Scholar Sengi, National, EMTV Sports.
And Trukai Sports continues after the break. EMTV's Lorraine Genia gives us an update on the Rugby World Cup and the Bledisloe Cup. Stay tuned for that.
Trukai Sports.
Good to have you back with Trukai Sports. Well, following their 10-point upset over Samoa in the Pacific Nations Cup on Monday, former Fijian 7-star Waisele Serevi believes the Vodafone Fijians have what it takes to cause an upset in the 2015 Rugby World Cup next month. English coach Stuart Lancaster, rating the team highly after their impressive performance, says the Fijians now have a good chance in contention for the quarterfinals in Pool A against England, Wales and Australia.
Fiji sent shockwaves throughout the world of rugby as they defeated Samoa 39-29 in the Pacific Nations Cup earlier this week in Burnaby, Canada.
Comes out here to Nakawara, and the early score goes Fiji's way as they take the lead 97.
Leone Nakawara and Nicola Matawalu were Fiji's instrumental game breakers, while inside centre Josh Matavesi demonstrated strength on the boot.
Lead extended to 10 points for Fiji. 15 minutes into this game as Matavesi kicks his second of 3 today. His other was the conversion on Nakawara's early try.
Placed in the same pool as World Rugby giants Wales, England and Australia, it was once said the Fijians were in a pool of death. However, Fiji has proven they will be a strong contender in Pool A after coming off one of their best performances of the year at the PNC. English coach Stuart Lancaster even rating Fiji highly. Following their win, he says the pool matches will certainly prove to be entertaining and will come down to the wire. In the meantime, the Fijians have returned to Fiji for a few days off before they head into physical training for the 2015 Rugby World Cup on the 18th of September. Lorraine Genia, National, EMTV Sports.
Still on rugby union, this weekend we'll see the opening of the Bledisloe Cup with the Wallabies taking on the All Blacks at the ANZ Stadium in Sydney, Australia on Saturday. The Wallabies, who are yet to name their side to take on the Cup champions, have been working on a plot to exploit New Zealand. The team that is likely to start against the All Blacks will most likely include Matt Giteau, David Pocock, Israel Folau and Tevita Kuridrani.
The Wallabies are looking to better their performance in the Bledisloe Cup this year after a disappointing campaign against New Zealand.
Best opportunities.
Game 1 of the Bledisloe Cup, the Wallabies began their campaign with a tense 12-all draw against the All Blacks, which set the tone for the rest of their season. Without Cooper and Genia in this year's lineup, the Wallabies are eager for a win against the world champions.
They are the number one team in the world, and you know, whoever plays, whoever pulls on that jersey, they're always going to get the job done for them.
Obviously, we play the game to win. We're representing our country, so trophies are pretty important. In saying that, though, it is a World Cup year, and we're trying to do the best that we possibly can.
While coach Michael Chika is yet to name a team to take on the All Blacks, Israel Folau would be a definite inclusion given his performance throughout this Super Rugby season.
The history of the games that I've been involved in hasn't been too good, and that's probably a good thing for us. We want to try and focus on ourselves, and hopefully we can put the work in during the week so we can prepare ourselves for
the Wallabies flew into Sydney earlier this week and will take on the All Blacks at 8 p.m. on Saturday at the ANZ Stadium. Lorraine Genia, National, EMTV Sports.
Back home, PNG has discovered a new potential sprint star in the making of Miriam Penny. Penny has made significant improvements in 2014 and stormed the tracks in the 2015 Pacific Games in the 100-metre and 4x100-metre race. She is most likely to represent the country in the Commonwealth Youth Championship in Samoa later this year. EMTV Shan Saroya has more on this report.
Miriam Penny, a star in the making, the dazzling 16-year-old from Kokopo, East New Britain province, took the limelight in the Pacific Games with the outstanding performance on the track and a medal to show for. With a successful Pacific Games campaign, collecting a silver medal under her belt in the women's 4x100-metre relay and coming fifth in the women's 100-metre final, she now has her eyes set on the Commonwealth Youth Games in Samoa in September, where she is most likely to represent PNG. Pending her final confirmation of the selection, Penny is enjoying her week off before getting back in training with Ipswich and Queensland's most respected coach Vic Pascoe. Pascoe was at the Pacific Games to watch Penny compete and describe her race in the 4x100-metre finals as an absolute blinder. He described Penny's first leg effort as she set it up. They only got ahead with 15 meters to go, but only to finish second behind Fiji in just 10 seconds difference. Pascoe didn't have a chance to speak to Penny during the Pacific Games, as much as he would like to after picking up a virus. However, Pascoe had a brief chat with Penny before the first heat and she won the race in style and she looked good and relaxed, he said. Pascoe, watching the 100-metre race, noticed the teenager appeared so nervous before the race. And despite finishing well, she may have run better had she not been quite so nervous.
Well, before the race, I was extremely nervous and then got into the blocks, did some run-throughs. I started to psych myself up, so yeah, I think after the race I did pretty well.
Shane Soroya, National, EMTV Sports.
Well, that wraps up our sports segment for tonight. Coming up next, the weather details for the next 24 hours. Stay tuned for that.
Tukai Sports.
Taking a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in southern region, mostly fine expected in Port Moresby, Karama and Alotau, fine and windy in Daru. In Momase and Lae City, to look forward to cloudy weather with chances of some light showers, while in Madang, Wewak and Vanimore, mostly fine tonight with chances of showers tomorrow. In the New Guinea Islands, becoming cloudy with chances of showers tomorrow in Lorengau and Kimbe, showers expected in Buka, while Kavia and Kokopo and Rabaul to look forward to cloudy weather with light showers. And in the Highlands region, all centres, cloudy weather with chances of light showers and drizzle. Now we take a look at forecasts for small ships, looking at waters of southern PNG Indonesian border through Torres Strait, Daru, Karama, Yule Island, Hood Point, Summer Island to eastern and western Milne Bay Islands, New Island to east and west New Britain, including Bougainville, seas of 2 meters to 2.5 meters, rising to 3 meters at times. Waters of Finchafen through Vitia Strait, including all Siasi Islands, Dampier Strait through to Long Island, seas of 2.5 meters to 3 meters. Waters of Samarai through to Cape Vogel and Finchafen, seas of 1.5 to 3 meters. Waters of Madang through to Bogia, Wewak, Aitape, Vanimore, and the northern PNG Indonesian border, seas of 1.5 to 2.5 meters. And lastly, waters of Manus and its western group of islands, seas of 2 meters to 3 meters. And ocean forecast for PNG areas, Coral Sea, seas moderate to rather rough with southeast winds at 15 to 25 knots. Solomon Sea, seas rather rough with southeast winds at 20 to 25 knots. Bismarck Sea, seas rough with southeast winds at 20 to 34 knots. And lastly, Pacific Ocean, seas moderate to rather rough with southeast winds at 10 to 25 knots. Now, before we go, recapping our top stories again tonight. Concerns over the economic downturn continues in the country. Also, CS Commissioner says officer involved in prison abuses to be charged, and 7 out of 10 women affected by violence in the country. Well, that's been tonight's bulletin from the news team. I'm Tokana Hasavi Jr. As always, thanks for your company. You take care and have an enjoyable evening. Good night.